Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. By now you all know me, but if not, my name's Mario. I put out videos primarily on clinical research, and this is going to be a clinical research video, and I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of being a contract clinical research associate. For those of you that don't know, I spent a little over 4 years as a contract CRA, and I have contemplated what the pros and cons of that kind of a position are, and I'll cover those in this video. So if that's of interest to you, please stick around. As always, before I get started, please take a moment, smash that like button, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. The channel is now about 750-ish subscribers, well on our way to hitting that initial 1,000 subscriber mark. So thank you all for your support. I truly appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to make this video relatively short and quickly jump through the pros and also then talk about the cons of a clinical research associate contract role. So the number one pro and the thing you'll hear people talk about most is the money. And yes, as a contract CRA, you have the opportunity to make much more money. This is because you can also work a ton more. So you are paid for every hour you work, and you can control how much work you take on to some extent. So you can take on tons of work and then be paid a lot more. So you're working a lot more and making a lot more money. So for people that really enjoy working and want to work all the time, the contract CRA is great because you can oftentimes work as much as you like and not have quite the ceiling in terms of number of hours. There are contracts out there that are capped at a certain number of hours, but more often than not, they just want you to prove what you did. So if you are a contract CRA, keep very detailed notes of what you're doing each hour. So when you fill your timesheet, you can justify what you were doing. So I would say typically as a contract CRA, I worked generally about 50-ish hours a week, which happens to be about the same that I work as a full-time CRA. But my record week was 95 billable hours. This was a one-time thing, thankfully, but I worked 95 billable hours. And the reason I specified billable because the contract I worked under said that anything that was administrative was not compensated. So things like doing your timesheet, your expenses, secondary stuff of that nature was not billable. So if you consider both the billable and non-billable work, I probably pushed a 100-hour week that particular week where I worked 95 billable hours. All right, so that is the number one pro, and it's what you'll hear a lot of people talk about, the amount of money you can make. The next pro of a contract CRA role, in my opinion, one of the most important thing for many people and a huge draw is utilization. You can control how much you take on. You can take on as little as 25%, where you only work about 10 hours a week on average, to people that take on multiple contracts. So you could take on 150%, 200% utilization in theory, if you think you can handle that much work. The one caveat I'll add, if you're taking on two contracts, make sure that they both know about each other. You don't want to be taking on two contracts with two competitors or something. They'll get you in trouble. Just ask the first contract you sign up for, hey, I'm considering this other role. Are there any limitations or any stipulations where I won't be able to take on this particular role? If there aren't, then you're good to take on 200% utilization if you think you can manage it. I wouldn't recommend it. My recommendation is to stick to 100% because, like I said, many contracts aren't capped. So if you really wanted, you can still work 50, 60 hours a week, and then you don't have the stress of dealing with two contracts. So that would be my personal recommendation, but you can control as a contract CRA how little you work to how much you work. So if you're, say, a mother that wants to stay at home for part of the time, you can possibly do a 25% utilization where you're getting out 1-2 days a week and you're home the rest of the time. Maybe you're taking care of sick parents, something where you need to be home for a good portion. I would not recommend a full-time role in that particular case because you don't have that kind of flexibility. The next pro of being a contract CRA is the ability to get up and running really quickly. Now, I should have covered this starting. To become a contract CRA, you need prior CRA experience. But if you've ever worked in a full-time CRA role, you'll know you have tons of SOPs, tons of secondary things that you need to do. Oftentimes you'll have career goals you need to write out, development plans, etc. None of this happens as a contract CRA. You're basically rented out by the company, so they'll give you the very specific work that they need you to do. You'll be given the protocol, given maybe a few SOPs here and there that they think are mandatory for contract CRAs, but there's a lot less of that. Let's write your goals, let's write your review, let's write all this out, and also let's try to develop you. So for many people who just enjoy being a CRA and really want to stick to the meat of being in the CRA role, contract CRA positions are great because you're thinking, hey, I want to be a CRA. I don't want to have to necessarily do evaluations and grow within the career. This is the career I've chosen, and this is what I'd like to do. The last benefit of being a contract CRA that I'll cover in very brief, with the disclaimer that I am not a CPA, this is not financial advice, and if you want to know more, contact your CPA or a CPA and talk to them about it. If you are looking for a CPA, my best recommendation is talk to other contract CRAs because the CPAs they use would be familiar with contract CRAs and be able to give you some better tax tips. So that's my spiel about not being a CPA, not being a financial advisor, and how you would find a good CPA for a CRA. Just ask other contract CRAs, who are you using? So in terms of actual tax benefits as a contract CRA, so if you are on a W-2 contract, there's not going to be much, but if you're on a 1099 or an S Corp or some other structure, you might be able to write off business expenses. So say you bought a car to go monitoring, and it's a business expense, you might be able to write off the car as a business expense on your taxes. Same with office supplies and things of that nature. I'm not a financial tax advisor, so that is my whole level that I'll cover, but there could be tax benefits from being an independent contract CRA. And there are different structures to being a contract CRA. So there's, in the United States, I should add, I know I have viewers in other countries, but if you're in the United States, the typical paths are either a W-2 CRA, a 1099 CRA, or an S Corp. There might be other structures, but those are the three that I'm familiar with. So W-2 works very much like being a full-time employee. You get a W-2. It's just that your hours in the W-2 show up based on the number of hours you worked, your pay. The 1099, you're an independent CRA or independent contract CRA. So you'd form your own entity and then basically be able to bill as a 1099. And as S Corp, you are corp to corp, it's called. So you have your corporation and then you sign an agreement with another corporation to provide work. That's about the extent of my knowledge. And like I said, lots of disclaimers here because this is just high level of one of the potential pros of being a contract CRA. All right, so let's get into the downsides. What are the downsides? And why did I leave contract CRA? So I left for two reasons, and both downsides. So the first reason I left was my contract was cut. So I didn't really have the choice to stay on and continue being a contract CRA. This pandemic happened. The CRO that I was contracted to decided to cut all contract CRAs, and I was out the door. And this is true of many contract positions, not necessarily a pandemic, but maybe there's a failed trial, maybe they don't need as many CRAs, maybe they've decided to take more in-house CRAs or hire more people within their organization or move people from other roles into the CRA role. So all of those reasons are reasons your contract may be cut as a CRA. So contract CRA positions are often 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months. That's how the length that they will sign you on for. And in my experience, they'll wait until the end of that contract if they don't need you, if they can, and then they'll let you go at that point. So you don't have the kind of job stability that you have in a full-time role. That said, no full-time role has 100% job stability. It's just as a contract role, the second business need says you're not needed, you will be out the door. So that was part of the reason that I left. The second reason that I've been thinking about leaving the contract CRA role, even before that pandemic forced me out, was because of career growth opportunity. Now, I'm not one that wants to be just the CRA forever. If I did, I would automatically be a contract CRA. There's no doubt in my head that is the role to take if you want to be a CRA forever, just because you'll make a lot more money. You'll have a lot more ability to track your utilization. Oftentimes, you won't be traveled as far. So all those pros become like huge pros if you are saying, hey, this is the CRA role and this is it for me. I've always wanted to move into CRA line management, and I'm still trying to find my way into CRA line management. That opportunity doesn't exist as a contract CRA. So while it's not guaranteed as a full-time CRA, at least I have the opportunity to move upward in my organization or within another organization. I could go from a CRA to potentially a clinical trial manager. I could also try to apply to principal CRA, lead CRA, or also directly to CRA line management. Those are all opportunities that exist as a full-time employee that don't necessarily exist as a contract CRA. So those are the top cons of being a contract CRA. There probably are others. So if you have been a contract CRA and can think of any other pros and cons, I'd love to hear about them down in the comments. Just to control the length of this video and not go on blabbing too long, I will end this video here. And if there's a topic you'd like me to cover, please list it down in the comments. I know there are two that have been requested multiple times, and I just need to figure out how to do them. Because one is how to walk through an oncology protocol. So I found a few oncology protocols that are available on Google. So I will screen share one and walk through how to read it as a clinical research associate, so you understand how to do it and what's important. Like I said, just my technical ability is limited in terms of being able to share my screen and record a video. And also I don't have any editing experience yet. So, but that video will be probably helpful to a ton of people. The other was to share my color-coded regulatory tracker that I use. I need to modify that to take out some information to be able to do that. So once I have time, I'll do that. Probably that video won't come out until I cross that 1,000 subscriber mark and the 4,000 watch hours for YouTube, because of the amount of work that particular video is going to take. But it is something that I have in the back of my mind. So those are two topics that are scheduled for the future. But if there are other things you want me to talk about, just list them down in the comments. All right, I will leave you with that. As a quick reminder, if you haven't done so already, please smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.